Welcome back to the Crazy Canadian YouTube channel. I just have one question. What side is it hanging on? Left or right? You probably said left because it was easier to say, but I feel bad for you because the right side is the right side. Today, we're about to turn our car from a street car to a no-prep car by doing absolutely nothing to it. Just kidding. On the agenda today, we have to change out our springs and our awesome 45mm Black Industries wastegates. If you don't know, it's my own company. Link is down below if you want to get one for yourself because we're just cool like that. We have a new set of springs here. This is the spring collection, 3 springs, and I actually have to do the grunt work here today and have to swap out all the springs, get some logs, figure out which springs make which PSI. Secondly, I want to confirm timing in this engine because I have not done it, and apparently it's really important because these things can be out like 7 degrees of timing. But that's not all, folks. I've noticed that no matter how much I clean down here in the strut area, it's always dirty, which makes me believe that these struts are leaking oil. I do have another set, and they're actually hanging in the Fox right now. They don't fit the Fox, unfortunately, so I had to order a new set of shocks, which means I can steal these ones. They're just strange single adjustables. These are just strange single adjustables, and these were actually originally on the Mach if you've been on the channel long enough. But here's the problem. I've never actually verified timing in an LS before, but I have an idea. I've watched a couple YouTube videos, because that's how I learn sometimes, and this is what I got. A thingamajig. So what you do is you take the thingamajig, you screw it into, we have to unscrew the thingamajig first. No, you have to unscrew a spark plug. Okay, you gotta unscrew a spark plug, then you screw the thingamajigger in, and then you crank it all the way until it hits the thingamajigger. You mark the crank with your timing pointer thingamajigger, and then you roll it back the other way and you mark the crank when it hits the thingamajigger again, and then you mark the spot in between the 2 thingamajigger marks on your crank, and that'll give you top dead center, roughly. Find a random bolt, put piece of bent up TIG wire on said bolt, bolt back into the thing that bolt bolts into. Easy. That'll have to work for now. You can see our little TIG rod there, just pointing out over the balancer. The balancer is definitely not going to be in the right spot for sure. And now you can pull out this your number 1 plug, insert this thing, and then crank it over until it hits this thing. Hard. Who cares about that piston? Alright, let's not break the spark plug because I'm pretty sure I don't have any more here today.
Start it up.
Oh, there it was. I found a paint pen. It dried up. And now we roll it all the way back. Fun times in the garage with Kyle. Okay, we are at 214. According to my math, 266 was on one side, 214 on the other, which is a 52-degree spread. Half of that is 27. So if you add 27 to 214, that gives us awkward 241. So we got to put our pointer at 241. So when I was looking at it, I had the offset set, I don't know if I'm doing it completely correct. When I had the static value set to 10 degrees and I looked at the crank, it was actually dead on the 241 mark. And 241 was supposed to be our middle, that was our top dead center. So that was firing exactly at top dead center on the light. We might be 10 degrees off. The boys made a good point. When I put this in there, one of the valves might actually hit it. So I'm going to pull the cover off. We'll pull the 2 rockers on this cylinder, put this back in, and retry it again. Bro, I'm just learning. This ain't a how-to. This is a how not to do. Idiot loser face. The light actually had a built-in 10 degrees timing in it, so this was actually on 10 when I opened the box. So I had to put it back to 0. Once I zeroed it, and I made 10 degrees up here on our table, it was actually 10 degrees advanced. So, yeah. And it even, with throttle, it stayed at 10 degrees advanced. So I think we're fine there. Our alternator bracket, obviously not working because the belt's f***ing wandering, and I don't know why. I'm not a fan of this bracket so far, but yeah, good. It's the next day. I have to admit, I passed out so hard last night. I ended up working a night shift, and then I got off night shift, and I didn't sleep. I was like, I'm too tough for sleep. And then I did some work in the garage, and then I couldn't do anything for the rest of the day because I had no energy. And then when I fell asleep for like 12 hours. So today we've got to change the struts out, test the wastegates, and that's about it. Well, yeah, take a look at this. I laid it on the floor. It was actually leaking oil out of here, but this is all like oil stuff. So that's probably not good for doing shock things. Shocks that are leaking oil probably don't do good at doing shock things. So we'll take the shocks that are out of this thing because they don't fit on those spindles, but they'll fit on mine. So we'll take those, put on, and I'll probably swap the coil over set over to just so we have the same spring rates. So it's actually they're both strange shocks, but different part numbers. This one's like a 12001, this one's something else. I'm gonna have to look them up later. This one's actually 04B09, 04B16. They look about the same. One might have a little longer stroke in it actually, because the spring, this must be a 12-inch spring versus a 14-inch spring. I'm gonna put the 14 back on it, I think, and let the ride height figure that out. So all the old stuff is gonna go back on these new shocks that are coming, and I'll take all my old stuff back. Cause I'm friggin' nice like that, okay? I'm gonna take all the used junk, and you can have all the nice, clean stuff cause this Fox is gonna be way better than my car anyways. Rocket man. Now basically, all we're hoping for with changing out the shocks is that it brings up the front end a little bit slower, because last time we were at the track, it felt like, or it looked like, the front was coming up too fast, and then it topped out and unloaded the rear, and that's why we were hopping a little bit. So hopefully this helps out, especially since we're on no prep now, which the no prep is basically the same prep as we were at Castrol anyways. So it's gonna be pretty close to what we're running at Castrol, hopefully. God, these things are annoying. Oh yeah, look at this one, it's all juicy too. Oh yeah. Anyways, we'll swap it out anyways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one was on way too many clicks. That one wasn't even the same clicks as the other one. Well then, that might be a problem. This one was on like, I think 5 clicks, and this one might have been like 7 or 8. Stupid ass. Also found some fluid up here. Looks like the spring might be a little bit busted too. So yeah, that shock probably wasn't working the way it was supposed to. Okay, Mr. Lover, both shocks are in the car. They're set a little bit softer, and I set the limiters a little bit longer, so we might end up doing wheelies again like we did last year, which is good at no prep, but not good. Wheelies scare me sometimes. Time to do some BSI spring testing. We have 3 different springs, which will give you a couple different options, because you can add 2 springs together, or you can run single springs. Yep, undo there. Yep, come on, come on. Yeah, boy. To me, it feels like this is going to be the softest one. This one's going to be the stiffest one, and this one's going to be the middle one. But who knows what happens when we put it in. We'll start with this one, and we'll just go by size. Now, it is super, super simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect our CO2 line just so there isn't any pressure in the top side of this dome, if I can get it off. There we go. That's our CO2 supply line. So now the top is vented. We're going to pull the springs that are in it out, which is just these 6 bolts. They take a 4mm Allen. This is what the inside of our wastegate looks like. There is actually no diaphragm in there, so you can't pinch your diaphragm when you go to put it back together, and the diaphragm can't rip, and with double O-rings it actually holds a ton of CO2. This is the spring that's coming out of it. Super duper simple. So take this spring out. We'll swap this one for this one. It's actually a little bit longer. Both springs are in. Like I said before, Black Sheep Industries is our own company. I am part owner of the company. Blow-off valves, wastegates, they come in 45 and 60. Turbos at True North Turbos. Turbo blankets ours. Flanges ours. Make a lot of cool stuff. Now I'll go get my laptop and we'll do the fun stuff where we take it on roads just outside of Mexico and figure out what boost it makes. Okay, USB linked. Go for a quick scoop. Start logging on the ECU. When it switches from open loop to closed loop. Like D-cell, I guess. Now, one thing I do want to test before we go to no prep is that I do have a bump box because we really need it, so. Perfect. Trans is hot now. Holy shit. Well, not hot. It's only 150, but sorry, transmission. Well, that was kind of a success. The only problem is we got to change these springs, and everything in here is a little less hot than friggin' Dan at DD Speed Shop, so it's like a million degrees. Here's our data log, and then if we look over here, it's right around 8 pounds of boost on the smallest spring, which is about 3 more than our last one. Actually, while the car's cooling down, I'm gonna go grab the truck and trailer just so we're ready to load up for no prep once I have these springs tested. I told Nick that I would do it. I have to do it. I'm part of the business. It's my responsibility today. People relying on me. I feel important. Mullets, mustaches, no V's. She's inside somewhere. I'm gonna go get the trailer. I'll be right back. Actually, on another note here, the belt didn't fall off under any boost, but it definitely is not riding straight on the crank. It wants to ride up on the crank, so we might have to end up like shortening all these spacers a little bit just to kind of accommodate where it wants to line up on that crank pulley. Like everything, if I measure from the plate, out to the alternator, and if I measure from the plate out to the crank, it's like the same. It's where it wants to be. It's just, I don't know, for some reason it's pulling off to one side for no good reason. Oh, look, we lost the belt again. This time we did not recover it. Okay, well that one was 17 pounds of boost. Between 16.5 and 17, it looks like. At least our fuel pressure stayed good on a 12 volts. Like the good little boy I am, I went and recovered my belt on my last test. Our last test put the biggest spring in there. The biggest spring, diameter-wise, it's actually softer than the middle spring. It looks like 11.6 PSI on that spring. That's that good. Okay, I'm gonna pull the alternator stuff off. I'm trying to cool it down. If I cool it down fast enough, I'm gonna pull it off. I'm gonna cut probably an 1/8 inch off all of the spacers to see if I can move the whole rig in and see if it'll stay on a little bit better maybe. I don't know. The next thing is to try and find like an adjustable, a better bracket than the one that's on there. And then we gotta load the car up and then go pick up the Hellcat and then head down, and then Tokyo's gonna bring the truck and car down for us. It's back on there. It's back on there a little bit shimmed up. I think half the problem is this idler pulley flexes a little tiny bit down there. So let's see. You see it flex a little bit? I think that was half our problem. So we did move it in a little bit, so hopefully when it flexes it pulls it onto the crank pulley still. I'm just gonna fire it up, look at it, and then see if we're good to go. Looks like a certified dick.
Tell me all your thoughts and hopes and dreams.
Butt stuff.